All right, welcome to the Action Martial Arts Power Hour. This is the show where we have some great guests, and this is Alan Goldberg's brainchild. And I'm going to bring him on so he can go make the proper introductions. I'm just going to be his assistant today. Alan, you're here.
Not much of a brain lift after this COVID thing, but anyway. But I thank everyone for being here. Welcome to the Power Hour. Thanks for Vero Hive supporting us and being part of what we're doing. I just heard some great news on the news the other day that our competitor, I won't mention their name, but our competitor was just put as being made by, how could I say, the communist government, is being sponsored by the communist government. So what you have here is a encrypted end-to-end service that you could use anytime you want. Not enough for the commercial there, but we'll go on. We got some great guests tonight with the Pellegrinis, some of our favorite couple. And we have Willie the Bam Johnson. We're waiting for some other friends coming on. So I just want to go over a few little things. And before we go into the show, basically, I just want to remind everyone of Action Martial Art Magazine.
Love it, love it.
I got my props now. And we also I'm waiting for this whole pandemic to end and we all get our shots and we all get to be normal again because Hollywood is buzzing. There's a lot of stuff going on. I just saw a clip tonight on YouTube with all the new action films coming on, which are amazing. And we got our buddy Joe Ribello coming on there. And it's amazing some of the movies are coming out. Batman and the Justice League and so on and so forth. So we got some great movies coming out. But in the martial art end of it, I've got like 8 different projects waiting to be done, or to get started with. And I'll be honest with you, some of them are for real. Some of them are real things happening, real good people involved. So we'll all get everyone parts in it, okay? Also, one movie I want to talk about is Flappish Life, and this is my Sifu, Jason Lau, and that's me up there on the other side. That's me with my long hair when I was young. It was, I think, like 20 years old then. Okay, we were on Flappish Avenue back in the day, the old school, and we had some wild times. And we're doing a movie about our life, and it's a very unusual film that we both start off our lives differently, and we meet up as the film goes on about our lives as we were together. And some people don't know my background. I actually lived with my Sifu for almost 6 years, and a lot about this in the movie is about that. I lived in a Kung Fu temple for 6 years, had my own room, and we went, can't talk about it on the air, but we had some wild times living in the school. We had some other guys living there also with us. And the movie's interesting. And he had left. He went down to Georgia, and he actually became a mercenary. He worked for a gentleman named General Bell. And many people don't know him. They meet him at my show, and they just think it's Jason Lau, the Wing Chun star. But he was a counter-terrorist. I worked for a group called Psionics, if you ever get a chance to look it up. General Bell, there was a movie made about him called Wild Geese many years ago with Dustin Hoffman. There was a ton of stars in it, but great movie. And it was about the general that he worked for. And there was a lot of stuff going on. And when the general died, he kind of pulled away from the whole thing and just kind of left it alone, even though he's still kind of connected in some ways that he knows most of the people involved. So that's going to be a great movie. And a couple other movies I'm working on right now is not named yet, but it's going to be a martial art musical, okay, played in outer space. Okay, don't ask me, but sounds pretty good. And a lot of people they want for the movie that people that come to my event all the time. They've come up and they've put up some money so far. Hopefully that these contracts will work out the film. It's going to be about a year before anything starts to happen with that. But we're coming up to an anniversary soon, January, the third week of January, which would have been the Action Martial Art Weekend. We won't be having it this year. I keep people calling me still to this day. What, is it 2-3 weeks from now? When's your event? And I go, no, there is no event. But we think the 2022 event's going to be fantastic. I've got people contacting me from all over the world, literally again. And we actually had to say to you that we're sorry. We had no control of it. I know everyone looks forward for the beginning of the year to get together and be part of, a community. I always tell people again, it's not my event, it's your event. Bam comes with his family. The Bellaquinis come. Everyone that comes just loves the event because it's almost like a old homes week, And we look forward. I look forward to myself because I get to see my friends. The only thing I don't like is I don't get to see them in the way I'd like to, talking and hanging out, whatever, because I'm always running somewhere doing something. But I still get to see you. So at this point, we're just going to start the show, and we want to bring up one gentleman who, as I again, he's a little younger than me, not much, but I kind of saw him grow through his years. He's been on TV, he's been in a couple of movies. His son is very talented, both his sons actually, and he's got some great programs going on now. We're going to talk about one is Point MMA. Okay, he's been seen at my event. He does a great job. Him and his wife, who's the boss, they're partners. Okay, but she's done some great things with him with this program, and they're bringing it on more and more to the martial art field to be a reality. What the competition should be within the Point MMA or in any type of MMA, tournament. So, to no ado, let me bring on my friend and someone I respect a lot, my friend Willie the Bam Johnson. Bam.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year's, all that good stuff. It's interesting. I appreciate what everybody said about Point MMA, but it's funny. I really didn't create Point MMA. I just say we added structure to the madness of sparring in the martial arts dojo, because we know over the years most people just put a kid in there and said fight, and if you survived it, if you started out with 100 people, you ended up with probably 5 people. And I realized that when we had younger kids, which is my son Messiah, you just saw, and my littlest son Zarian, I didn't want them to go through the brutality of what was happening in sparring. So I needed to figure out a more intellectual way to still make them tough and use their intellectual and not go through a lot of the brutality. And that's how the birth of, Point MMA came about. We have switched it up a little bit. It's still a form of competition. We are missing this year's event because this is one of the biggest events. Everybody get a chance to come out and have a good time. We pack the house. We turn the music on. I think that's the beautiful thing about the Action Hall of Fame is that we were able to bring the DJ in, put them in a room, have a big party. And a lot of people ain't used to a tournament with music being played. We wanted to be a family gathering, like a picnic or something like that. And in the last couple of years, that's what it's been, and the parents really enjoy it. But what we have did recently, we started last year. We really been switching it up where, with the help of a couple of people, some real major people, we call it now Point MMA 37 Skills. My goal and my wife's goal is always, how do we help the next generation? Regardless of what I do, I care about the kids over top of anything else that I do. Because if anybody understands what I've been through, I do not ever want any kid to have to go through the hell that I went through in my life. And that hell, most people can't even survive it. And my dad, when I speak to him, he's 89 years old. He said, boy, you done seen that ghost, and I'm so proud of you. So I believe God saved me for a bigger purpose. And my wife has her own story. And that purpose now is, how do we impact the community beyond the culture of martial arts, but into the community with the principles of martial arts? I think what we find, why is it that MMA really has, let's think about it. MMA has did more for the martial arts just as much as what Bruce Lee has done, even though you might not like it, but you got to like it now, because now you got traditional martial artists doing MMA now. It's no longer just a couple of brawlers. You got wushu people, you got you got all these different organizations, and we just been recognized by the governing body for future Olympic competition as Point MMA being a level of consideration for international competition gearing up for the Olympics. But long story short, the program is now, we just got off the phone with the mayor today. We're trying to launch it and make it accessible for every kid around the world. As Billy Blanks would say, let's build little warriors, MMA warriors at home, where we can combat obesity. When we come back from COVID-19, we're going to have group of kids is going to be totally lost. How can we help those kids and help them really get their minds together? Help them
Mhm.
get their spirits together and get them up and get them motivated to be able to really grow at home, like basketball and baseball. So that's the real shift. It's the competition is the icing on the cake. I think the biggest thing is how do we show these kids how to tap into the principles of martial arts, because we know martial arts can change the world. And that's the shift in it. And I thank you, Master Goldberg, for really like believing in what we do. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but that one aspect of Point MMA, you went out on the limb and really supported us. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. And we also now we do the banquet for the kids, which has never been seen before, but a whole banquet just for children that are doing the Point MMA. That's a great point too. I just wanted to introduce. I got our Wikipedia Joe just
No,
came in. Kempo Joe.
let's bring in the Pellegrinis, Alan.
Okay, yeah, I'm saying, but Joe's on board here.
Let's
So
bring the Pellegrinis on, Alan.
Okay.
All right, we got the
So
Pellegrinis on. Joe will make it on at some point.
okay. So Bam, hold on because we're gonna get back to you also, and
But
you get involved with the company.
we're all here together at the same time, Alan.
All right. I want to bring in one of our favorite couples, the Pellegrinis, who've been on the show quite a few times already, and they're not cooking again tonight, but they're going to be doing that. We got something new coming up soon now, but we're going to talk about some interesting things. I know Bam also had some books that he wrote, and the Pellegrinis, they wrote some books together. So John, do you have any copies of your books there? We could take a look at it, the cover.
I have right now 4 books on the market. One was produced by Black Belt magazine. It's called, let's see if we can.
Hang on.
Yeah, it's called Combat Hapkido, The Art of the Modern Warrior. It was published by Black Belt magazine, so I do not actually own the copyright. They pay me royalty, of course, and I can buy them at a discount, and I sell them to all over the world. But actually, that's a book that is owned by Black Belt magazine, which now is owned by Century Martial Arts.
Right.
Then I have one that was produced in Spain by Alfredo Tucci and the Budo organization. This is called, here we go. Let's do the commercial properly, honey. It's called Combat Hapkido Intelligent Self-Defense. So this one, Budo owns it in Europe. I own the copyright in the United States. And then I have 2 other books. One is called Journey into the Yin and Yang. That's a collection of my writings, my philosophy, my observation, my history and the martial arts. It's a collection of writings of my philosophy, so to speak, and things that I think are important to the martial arts community. Like Willie was talking about helping the youth of the community. There is many other groups out there that need our support and need to be introduced to the martial arts because they're not familiar with it. I have done, as I'm sure you know, a lot of work with the military. Mm-hmm. That's a group that back in the 50s, the 60s, they were teaching what they used to call hand-to-hand combat.
Right.
And it was always neglected. They always gave them a couple of hours of training and then send them out to fight. And the mentality was that there was always a weapon and we didn't need empty hand skills. Well, we saw in World War II that was not the truth because many times our troops engage hand-to-hand against the Germans or the Japanese, house to house, close quarter, trench warfare, where people were using actually empty hand skills. Mm-hmm. So it started becoming a little more appreciated. And I kind of specialize in the niche for several years. And that's one of the groups that I wanted to bring more martial arts to. You know, what we forget is that the martial arts originally, martial means military are to,
Military, right?
and we have forgotten that originally they were not for entertainment, they were not for health and fitness, they were not even for civilian self-defense. They were military arts. That's why they were called martial arts. They were taught to the military classes. And then we gotten so much away from that now our troops are totally neglected in the training. And I try to bring some of that back to them. I'm not the only one doing that. There has been other people around the world working with the military, especially with the Israelis and other special units around the world. But I've made my contribution. I'm very proud of it. So these are the books that I have in the market. There is also the legacy book, which you didn't bring, which is a biographical story. Alan's picture is in there about 3-4 times.
He doesn't have a rose in his mouth, does he? Like Burt Reynolds?
No.
I don't know if we can handle that.
On a bear rug.
See, that'll even get Bam blushing a little bit, I think.
That's for my next edition. No, listen, actually, the book, Alan, and you have a copy because I sent it to you.
I have it, yeah.
Not only is a biography, a little bit of my life, but mostly in photographs as opposed to writing.
Right.
And dozens and dozens of those pictures were taken in Atlantic City over the last 20 years.
Yes.
And we have a lot of people in there. I made a special section at the back of the book. I called it In Memoriam. These are all the people, the great masters, grandmasters, pioneers, founders, people that we love, we all know. Well, maybe we don't love all of them, but even the ones that were not very nice, they deserve our respect and the honor that they earn in the martial arts world. So I put a section with all the photographs, all the ones that have passed on. So I'm preparing a second edition, which will be updated with many more pictures and unfortunately a few others that have passed away, but also many that are still out there kicking ass, like Willie the Bam over there. And your picture is in my book, Willie, by the way. So next time I see you in Atlantic City, I will give you a copy of the book. I want you to have it. But so this is my way of honoring everyone that I met in the martial arts. And honestly, some of the people don't have a great personality. Some are arrogant, egotistical. Some are not very friendly. But the majority are really great people. And
I agree.
And even the ones that are a little bit of annoying, you still got to recognize the contribution that they have made to the art. For better or for worse, these people have blazed the trail for all of us. And we need to be grateful regardless of whatever personalities.
And
I agree.
Picking up on that as well, what Willie said and what John just said, even though we always talk about my cooking show, I also have an organization called Unafraid Women. And I go out into the communities and I teach ladies only, women that are too afraid to go into a martial arts class, women that have been abused. I have worked with a lot of rape victims, domestic violence victims, women that have just been brutalized, to give them some confidence and encourage them to go into a self-defense program. So, we always talk about my cooking, which Willie, I have a cooking show called Cooking Up Murder. But when COVID happened and we couldn't go out and do our seminars anymore, that's why I started the cooking show. But my real job is my Unafraid Women program.
All right, kudos to you, Trina. That's good stuff.
And him. You're the job, and John.
But these are the stories that no one hears about, Trina. And then I'm glad that you brought that up, because it is important what you're doing.
Look, Bam has a few books, and I know he's working on something right now. Do you have your copy of your books around there, Bam?
Well, I got this. This is my studio, so y'all right here in my studio. Um, I think two of them that's really important. Wait a minute, one second.
Just don't knock over the camera.
Uh, this one I wrote when I was incarcerated. It's called
Mm-hmm.
Street Martial Artists.
I'm going to put you on solo so you can show that a little closer.
All right. All right. And that came out by Human Kinetics. And I think what Master Goldberg was talking about, I got in trouble in 1989. I was locked up in a maximum security prison for selling drugs and doing all the things that most kids do that come up in the city of Baltimore. And it was a blessing to me. But one of the things that saved my life was that I began to write on toilet paper and anything that was around. I had a guy who helped me learn how to get that story out. So I always been trying to tell this story from the depth of a reality that I don't think most people can imagine. And I'm not trying to be funny. I just think that sometimes we don't realize that in certain communities, karate, boxing, none of that matters. What matters is the heart and the soul and the spirit of survival. And when you look at a city like Baltimore, 300 deaths every year, you cannot imagine what you guys can, because you all have our stories. But I think there's another side that people don't understand about young kids. And I wanted to get that out. So this book kind of like talks on it as a PG-13 version. Um, and Human Kinetics put it out. It did real well, but they gave me the rights. And then YMMA came back this year and republished it, and we just won a bunch of awards for it. And then I did one with my sons. This is called Nobody Bothers Me, but it's based upon Grandmaster Jun Rhee, and the forward is by Chun Rhee, Jun Rhee's son. So it's a bully book. Talks about Nobody Bothers Me. That's my two little sons. It's called Nobody Bothers Me. And then this one just came out by my littlest son. He wrote, it's called A Little Warrior's Journey of Personal Safety. So this is incredible because it's a little kid that goes into a dojo. He begins to meditate, and he meditates into this jungle with the 5 animal styles of Kung Fu. And every animal teaches him the instincts of personal safety for the real world. So it's an incredible book that he wrote on his own. And then we have one called How to Raise My Parents. That's by my other son. And in actuality, I mean, y'all see how much I love it. This is a different one. That's why I didn't show it. Because I don't have that one at hand. But but that one was really, at one time, me and my wife was about ready to like end it and just leave it alone and get a divorce and all these things that we go through. And she was attacked, and that's her own story. It's a brutal story, and she has a program just like you guys that talks about what happened to her, and she could never have kids. That's what the doctor said. She cannot have kids. So out of nowhere, when we were going through all this hell, one day she said, "I think I'm pregnant," and she was impregnated with our son called Messiah. That's why his name is Messiah. He became our Messiah. He brought our whole family back together. And the book is how he raised me. I'm a different type of father. I don't beat my kids no more. I don't yell at them. I find a more intellectual and compassionate way to understand them. And that's what that book talks about. This one is a warrior's mindset. And then, of course, we got the 10 Mad. Can you see that one? Uh-oh.
That's exactly what I was worried about. Don't knock the camera down. All right, let's bring those books right to the camera now, but don't knock the camera down.
And that's called 10 Mad. It means 10 minutes a day. It's kind of like a motivational book where it tells you, suck it up, shut up, and stop making excuses. So everything is the opposite. It's a brutal motivational book that whenever you make an excuse, we try to get on your case. And I think the last one that Master Goldberg's talking about, this one's dear to my heart. I began writing it in 1989. It's brutal. It's graphic. It will show you a side of me that nobody has never seen. It will show you how I was molested, how I was in gun battles, how I was the person that people see today. And we right now, Master Goldberg, as a matter of fact, is doing a forward for it, in a testimony. So we have a bunch of people that are coming in doing testimonies, but this book is so brutal. When you read it, the language is so graphic and so street that you realize that when I got incarcerated, my language was now a little bit more compassionate and loving and concerning. And a lot of people that read it, like Dave Kovar and Mark Dacascos, they was like, man, this language is pretty brutal. I said, but did it take you in a world that you couldn't understand?
Mm-hmm.
Said, yes. And I said, did you see, can you still believe that that person is the same person you see now? They said no. And I mean, and it's funny, a lot of people don't realize it. I mean, it's like even I used to talk like in the street, it's like Killzak, Bizak, Gizero, Dizero. Those were codes for selling drugs. I mean, I never knew how to respect a woman. I mean, it was just, that was the life that we came from. And the book talks about it. I mean, you wake up on check day and you see more money than what most martial artists can imagine. We talking $20,000 and $30,000 a day. We talking millions of dollars. And that's in the inner city, a poverty-stricken community. And I want the book to show this, and I want the kids. I even have ex-drug dealers that when I was locked up, they wrote a testimony back then to say how I was a hero for them, because when I was locked up, I never did anything that anybody did to make it through jail. I never hung out with no one. I got a chance to practice my martial arts, and I swear to you, everything that I do today were the blueprints that I made when I was incarcerated. I stayed by myself. I never got one fight. So when people talk about fighting, I was in a maximum security prison. I never got in one fight. And I was able to practice my martial arts. That don't happen in jail. But I know it was God that prepared me for something greater. So when I talk about like a peaceful solution, I can go back to those communities, and we do go back there now. Me and my wife, the same place that I sold drugs in, I go back and teach those kids how to become better people. And that's what this book called. So it's called The Master's Purpose. And it's a journey on how I found it uses belts as a journey. So I come in as a white belt. And if we all know, really, as a martial artist, we just a white belt that never quit. And I go back to a more mature white belt at the end. So it's just a 360-degree turnaround. And the last thing I say about the book, what is so funny, my daughter, who's now in Hollywood, I mean, God bless her. She's doing so much incredible stuff on her own. I would never think that she would be like so sought after right now in Hollywood stunts, behind the camera, everything. She had did something in school. And back then I was like a hard, firm dad. I would cut their belts up. My oldest kids would say my dad was brutal. He was just bad, man. And I realized that my daughter, she didn't understand what she did. And the things that I took her through, I couldn't handle it. So I said, I don't think she understands my life. So I got her to write the book. When she wrote that book, she came back to me and, oh man, sorry. She said, Daddy, I understand now. I understand. Honestly, Master Goldberg, it's not point MMA. It's that I just don't ever want to go back to be that person that I used to be. I don't ever want any kid to go back through that. And all these other things are just extensions of it. I care nothing about none of that other stuff. The most important thing is some little kid that never have to go through a jail or AA program or anything to lose their life to the hell. Most people don't make it back from that. Thank God I had martial arts and I had you. I mean, oh man,
This brings you to an emotional place, Bam, for sure.
I don't know. I was just being myself, Bam. So you're a good person. I open my heart to you.
And I know I always say to you, like when I was on TV, and I remember the first time you asked me to come to the show, and I didn't show up. And then the second time you asked me to come, and I always say I'm sorry for my car not starting. And I know you said I don't have to, but because I never showed up so many times, I want to make sure that I let people know that I will never not show up today. I am a man of my word because I know that God saved me to do that. And if it allows me to be able to do the things that I do, all that other stuff is an extension of that. I care nothing about none of that stuff. I just care about being able to wake up every day. And if a kid can hear this and see that I was so low and realize I'm just Bam. I'm not no titles. I'm not no TV. For my kids to love me and for my wife to choose me, oh man, that's more important to me than anything else in this world. So that's why I do it.
Well, a lot of times I look in the martial art world and I see what we get out of it. We get the martial arts, of course, but we get friendships that you never would have got otherwise. I mean, like the Pellegrinis, your family, Lou, so many people that I've made. I feel it's almost my whole life with martial arts is that these relationships I built are so wonderful. And, it's funny because even in the sense when I'm around other people that we have the mutual respect for, other people start to get it also when they see the way you and I act or we and the Pellegrinis act, because they realize there's something there. And not about being a tough guy, not about being who's a tougher guy than the other guy, whatever. So the real truth of the matter is, hey, being a friend through the martial art world means a lot more than just, hey, you could throw a kick, I could throw a kick, whatever. It's a completely different thing. And we spoke before, Bam and I, about the way I feel about his family and what they've done. Because again, I know he's not that much younger than I, but I've seen a lot of you growing up. And that's going to be part of what the endorsement for the book, because I kind of saw when you were troubled a little bit and came out of that, and meeting a wife and everything you did was so good. So there we go. But what I really want to say is that what we've done in martial arts comes with the friendships also. Because we could not, even your students, think about it. What happens with your students, some of them become your best friends. Okay? That came from martial arts. So, it's a wonderful thing. But we're going to speak about something else tonight. And there's a TV show on now that the Pellegrinis and I were talking a little bit on Lou, and the Karate Kid, the TV show. Okay, I don't even know what they call it. Truthfully, I've seen it a few times. Cobra Kai. And I myself,
What's a noise?
Whatever. I really don't care about it because it's not my forte. But John, we were talking about that before. What are you feeling about that show?
Like the title of my book, there is a yin and yang feeling about the show. Number one, the positive part is it brings back a great period of the martial arts.
Yes.
A great time. I remember in my school in Florida, my very first school, I think the movie came out 84, 85. And the phone could not stop ringing. Everybody wanted to bring their kids into the martial arts school. So I think it was the image of Mr. Miyagi and the turmoil, like Willie was talking about, teenagers going through emotional, intellectual turmoil and finding a certain amount of strength and discipline and confidence by practicing martial arts. So the message of the original movie was incredible. In my opinion, fantastic, positive. The acting was great. Everybody did a phenomenal job in the movie. Now let's look at Cobra Kai. Too many fights fights are absolutely horrible. I don't know who's coordinating or choreographing the fight scenes. I think they're absolutely horrible. And yes, they're trying to show good school, good martial arts versus the evil Cobra Kai. But if I can think of a word to define the show, it would be cartoonish. It doesn't ring true. It looks fake. It looks contrived, and I got suckered into watching it. And I'm going to watch the next season if there is going to be another one.
Don't watch the next season. Don't watch
I
it.
watch.
I got through a half an episode. I couldn't deal with it.
I'm a glutton. I'm a glutton for self-punishment, I guess. But I'm gonna watch it so that I can then criticize it.
Okay, so then you can be our resident Cobra Kai critic.
Absolutely.
Okay.
What do you think, Trina, of that movie?
I just think it's too overdone. They're showing a lot of the kids being really, really violent. And believe me, I know that there's bullying going on, but the problem is it shows these kids, some of these kids, I mean, getting beat out of them, thrown against walls, kicked in the face, punched in the face, and there's nothing wrong with them. They get up, there's no blood, and there's never any consequence for anything that happens. So they're in fights, and if somebody did that to my son, I'd call the police. So I like it.
Well, Ben, what do you think about the show? Have you seen it?
Well, I don't like to watch martial art movies. I'm an old Shaw Brother guy, so I like the first one, but I have to tolerate it, and I'm not saying it in a bad way, because my little kids loved it. I mean, my little son loves Cobra Kai. I mean, it's some new movie with Ernie Ray's daughter called Heroes about a bunch of kids. I mean, he's into all this stuff, man. So what's so different now as a parent, you realize, and I know it sounds crazy, these martial art films have a more philosophical impact to the younger generation than any other time in history. We don't think that these little kids getting it, but my son can tell you stuff about martial art. I mean, we're talking about from Ninjago movies. Older people are writing these movies and putting subliminal messages that are feeding to the younger kids. But if you don't have kids, you're not going to get it. But because I have a kid, I have to get it. Even if I don't want to get it, I have to get it. So, I mean, I never watched the Cobra Kai, but I do understand that, it's I mean, you gotta remember, Hollywood don't meet martial arts community. The martial arts community is Hollywood. And that's something that's really powerful. I think I learned that on that TV show called WMAC Masters. It's not a plug, but I want to say one thing. That was the biggest TV show in history. That was the first time they ever had Pat Johnson, every great karate competitor, the people did Cabbage Patch Dolls, had put all the money. They never had a TV show. At the end of the show, it was an 800 number for you to be a WMAC master. I was in a meeting. They went to the whole martial arts community and said, we want you guys to support this show. This was before UFC. Guess what every great school owner and master said? Man, that's phony. They ain't really fighting, but they were real martial artists. They were trying to do it after the WWE. They had toys, they had books. So guess what happened? Hollywood took their stuff away from the martial arts, and that was it. So right now, Cobra Kai, they kind of like, I think, if we could get anything, we need, like Dr. Pellegrini said, we need that spunk like Karate Kid. But we gotta bite our tongue a little bit, because once again, Hollywood makes so much money, they don't need us. Somebody got their mic on. I don't know what that sound is.
Yeah, Joe, if you can hear me, come out the room, please, because that's coming from Joe.
Yeah, okay. That's killing Dr. Pellegrini.
Yeah. Joe, if you can hear me, please leave the room. Exit. Hang up so that we can continue.
Yeah, you're echoing.
Who's talking?
All right. I think we're good now. He's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was just my. So I haven't really watched it. I'm not criticizing it because I do know we need that type of spunk right now to accelerate our schools and our industry.
I actually think that's one thing it does do. It helps school owners to progress a little more in the younger age grid. I myself, if you think about it, most of those people on the show, Cobra Kai, are not even martial artists. A guy like Martin Cove is not a real martial artist, okay? But he plays a good spot. Even if you remember Sidekick with Chuck Norris, Joe Piscopo, who was my student, wasn't a martial artist. He took a little bit of classes. Well, now, but he took a little martial arts, and it was what it was at that day. But, it does good. Even Steven Seagal, who has the ratio of, being a good martial artist or a bad one or whatever it is with people, does good for us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Van Damme does a movie. It does good for us as instructors because sometimes seeing other people do things changes people's minds also. So it's important. But just let's go over the last minute. Unfortunately, Joe.
I want to say something, Alan. Yeah, Joe. Yeah. He had some technical issues, but I want to say something which is important. We have some people in the martial arts world right now that are going through some difficult times. You have Ernie Reyes Sr. Right now, you have, and I don't know if you guys know, Chuck Zito. He's in the hospital.
Well, he's out.
He had COVID.
He's out though. He's out and he's home and he's feeling good. I just spoke to him.
Okay, good. Yeah, we just we have to keep these people in our thoughts and our prayers because it is important. Yeah, and we need to touch on this stuff. If anyone has anyone to mention, feel free to do so. No one.
Everyone good?
Well, I mean, my wife. My wife's still fighting cancer, so
right.
She's had her surgery this week.
Our prayers.
Yeah, prayers going out for her for sure.
She's a warrior. That's why the thing with Master Ernie means so much because when she had cancer the first time, he did a whole big thing on her. So when this happened at our boot camp this year, we did a kind of like a sweat lodge that he did for my wife when we went out there with him for him, just to put the spirits out there. I mean, but that's why we got to do movies and we got to do books because if we don't celebrate and honor these people. Once they're gone, they're gone. That's so important right now.
And that's why the Action Martial Arts Hall of Honor is important because it celebrates all these people and keeps their presence relevant. And that's a big thing that Alan does with this event. Keeps a lot of people relevant, gives them the opportunity to monetize their martial arts, but also keep them in front of people. And that's how you grow your business as well. But keeping you relevant is good so that the next generation knows who Bam is, who the Pellegrinis are, who Alan Goldberg is, who Dan Severin, and everyone else. What you do, Alan, is amazing, and you've been doing it so long that I think people forget your impact on the world of martial arts. And I just have to reiterate that because your event is. On a scale of 1 to 10, you're at a 12 because you made it that way. You made it happen.
Master Goldberg, but do they know what you do at Comica? Do they know how Comica is based upon the kids, which is the kids award show? We have a Don the Dragon Wilson award. We have a June Ree award. The whole concept behind this, imagine if a kid wins an award called June Ree. He's going to go on social media to try to figure out who June Ree is. So we passed the legacy on. But that's the other thing about point MMA. Techniques are called the Chuck Norris technique, the Billy Blanks technique. Everything's about history. That's why. So, but that's what the Kids Action Martial Arts Choice Awards is all about. Passing legacy to the next generation.
Yep.
We came up with the idea.
I forgot about Michael DePasquale Jr.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, Michael's doing better, thank God, too.
Okay,
Knock wood. Good. But it's funny when I came up with the idea and I was thinking about doing something different whatever. I didn't know what to do. And Bam and I were talking one day, and we started talking about doing something for kids and how we were going to do it. I mean, really, it's, some people had no idea during our banquet. We had another banquet going on down the other side of the building. And that was probably more lively than you could even think about it, because they do a great job. Him and his wife do a phenomenal job. But this year, Bam and I changed up an idea. And we said, let's bring, after he's done, we staged the event like before my event. So when we were halfway through my event, he was finishing. And he took that whole troop. Boy, I tell you, it was an unbelievable look. A whole troop of them, from the kids to the parents that were there, and we marched them into the event, and we put them right across the front of the stage, and we let the world to see that we had all these wonderful people that was with us during our event, and this was going on too. So there's a lot of things, and it's not so much me. I support them. They come up with ideas, and I say, run with it. Sounds good, run with it. As long as no one's getting hurt, we're not doing anything illegal. How bad could it be, right? And the truth of the matter, they've done a wonderful job, and hopefully the next one we're going to have is going to be bigger and better. And
go ahead, you finish. I'm sorry.
Oh, go on.
But remember, we said what we were going to do this month. And guys, this is what I had mentioned to Master Goldberg. During COVID, every kid should be recognized as a superhero. Mm-hmm. Every kid should be recognized for getting up and getting on Zoom to go through school. Every kid in the world. Me and my wife figured out, how can we do a comica for free? Just put it on Zoom and just do it for free. Anybody that has a kid out there that should just be recognized. Even if they took even if you told them to take the trash can up and put it outside, and they took the top off and went back to bed, they should be recognized. The effort for a kid to make it through these times, we should recognize them as superheroes. So this year, my wife said, let's ask Master Goldberg, let's just do a virtual Zoom comic.
We got Vero now to do it.
Yeah,
so
Vero,
we can do it.
Man. Vero's where it's at.
Well, Vero, I meant to say Vero. Did I say Z or did I say V?
Yeah,
But,
V.
You
said
right.
V. You said Vero. There you go.
But it is
great idea.
Because they need to be recognized.
But a word that John and I use when we get a little older, we know these words are very good, is being relevant. Okay. Yep. And when we do these little things and whatever we do in the martial art world during this time, being relevant is very important, because everyone's going to forget about you otherwise. So, I my hat's off to the Pellegrinis and you and your wife, what you do. And anyone out there, couples, they want to come on and talk about what they do, we want them on. We want them to know what's special going on. I mean, I had a guy tonight just contact me right before we went on the show, and he's from Ireland. And the guy's, I want to come to the event. And I had to tell him it's not this year, it's 2022. And the guy's like, you and I got to get together, because I have a feeling I want to make the largest martial art event in the world. So I wrote back to him. I said, I've been doing that for 20 years already. So not to be disrespectful anyway to the guy, I said, but listen, my mind is always open to doing bigger and better things. And I get offered things all the time by people to do things. And I'll say 90% of them I don't do, because a lot of times you're spinning your wheels, and you kind of, in my predicament already, I kind of know what's right or wrong. What's good for me and the community. So I kind of, have to hash through things a lot of times. But I will tell you, my door's always open. If I want to work with somebody and they come with a great idea, my door's open to them. We want that open access to the martial art world. And there's a lot of people, and you guys don't know exactly, knock what we do. Okay? I get it all the time. I got this Hall of Fame. I says, my event, there's one part of it that's a recognition banquet, okay? There are 17 other things going on that weekend. We literally have 4 days of martial arts going on, having a good time with our peers, and even people that just want to be fans. We have a lot of people show up to our event that are just fans of the martial arts. Okay. So, it's a very funny thing that I say to people, if you're looking for something to do in the martial art world, come to our event. I guarantee we're going to find something there, and the friends that we make are the most important thing. So let's just go.
I just wanted to add this because you mentioned Hall of Fame, where you're more of a Hall of Honors. You have all these Hall of Fames out there. You honor people for what they do. You're not putting their names on walls and doing that stuff. You're saying, hey, this is who you are. We appreciate you. We recognize you. We see you. We acknowledge you. And that's what it is.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's get in closing things. Pellegrini's, anything to close with?
No, and having spoken about your event, like you just did, it brings a little bit of sadness because every year at this time we will be preparing, packing. My wife will be deciding what kind of dress she wants to wear.
Mm-hmm.
And
you notice I'm growing my hair back. I have no.
Yeah. and we're gonna miss it. I'll tell you the truth. This year, January, for 20 years, every January, we were preparing. We were getting up. I was calling all my people to ask them for their support. Mm-hmm. Making plans to see people there maybe we hadn't seen for the whole year. Sure. And have a drink together or grab a burger together. We were looking, we are a community, we're a big family. And your event meant so much to me personally and my wife for the last 20 years. I'm going to miss it so much this year. The January does not feel the same without the Atlantic City event. And I'm getting emotional now, so I better shut up because I really miss you and everybody there. Mm-hmm. And, it just does not feel the same. And I can wait till 2022. We're going to have it again.
No, I think 2022 we're gonna have a cook-off. I don't know. I think Alan's gonna do something new. the Pellegrini special.
Cynthia and I have talked about it so many times during our show that we just can't believe that we're not gonna be there this year. It's just, and of course we have people messaging us, telling us, "I can't believe we're not gonna see you guys this year. We're not gonna get together." Girls.
But that's something that we built as a community. It's I'm the one event, I pay the bill, whatever it is. But the real truth of the matter, it's everyone's event. It's everyone in the community that comes and enjoys themselves. And I tell people, if you don't want to be part of it, no problem. But if you want to be, the door is open. We want you there. So, Bam, any last word? Sure, Trina. Anything you want to say?
No,
Trina. Okay. You're good? Go on, Bam. Finish up.
But it's not too late to do something. Think about this.
Quiet.
We already. This is why my wife will beat me up because I'm a creative maniac. It's not too late. We all know what's happening today. It's some bad stuff happening in DC today. Right now, people need hope. Why can't some people just come on a setting like this and for that day and just teach a class, Master Pellegrini? To the world, why can't we communicate? I'm asking Goldberg, if you just put our guys, we're just going to have a fellowship. On the day that we will be at Action Hall of Fame, we're going to have a little fellowship, zone in, let's talk, let's cook. Let me show you my recipe. Let me show you my technique. And what about the charity, the bully charity? If somebody want to make a donation, you can make a donation to the bully charity. You talk about making a change. We can't wait for another time because combat is a response to the pressure. It's not getting away from the pressure, right, Master Pellegrini? And think about it, you got to respond under pressure. Let's respond under pressure by putting some Action Hall of Fame love out there.
We'll definitely think about it. We'll definitely think about
I
it.
think it may work.
Anyway, I just want to thank you guys for everyone being on. We had a good show tonight, a lot of information. And hey, God bless you all, your families, health with everybody. And now we're in a new year. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Stay safe.
Definitely. See you guys next week. Thank you again.
God bless.
Bye.
Thank you.
Namaste.